Hey guys, I'm Bustin, and today we're covering races and ashes of creation as of pre-alpha. So before we break down each of the individual races, I just wanted to first talk about how the races will actually affect your character in game. Now, each race has its own starting area, but you do have the option to start wherever you like if you did want to let's say like play with a group of friends. Each race will have its own unique mounts. Armors and weapons are not locked to your race, but it will change how it looks based on the race you have chosen. Races are not gender or class locked in any way, although each race does have its own base stat template. So when we get a little more information, we can assume that some races will work best with certain classes. So if you're really like the min-max, just make sure that you wait to gather the right information before making your main character. So as you can see, your race will make a ton of changes to your overall character. Abilities will look different. Even your town or node, it's called, will be influenced by the most active race in that area. So aesthetically, if you want your city to look a particular way, that will be very important as well. Anyways, let's just dive in and let's cover all the races that should be available on launch. All right, we'll start with the humans. Now, humans are split into two races, the Kalar humans and the Valoon humans. The Kalar humans were the most populated race in the lore. Their mantra is build, order, and civilization, and their architecture style for their buildings and structures just have a very French medieval type of influence. So basically, anyone that's played Alliance and WoW, which I despise you for, this is your home. Valoon humans take on more of a Middle Eastern influence. Their focus is trade, law, and hardship. Their lore is based out of the desert and just like a lot of dangers that come in developing in any type of like kill or be killed environment. But remember that the game has no pay to win features. So to all you oil princes out there, get shit on. Next, we have the Elves. They're also split into two races called the Empyrean Elves and the Pyre Elves. Now, the Empyrean Elves are my personal favorite. It's what I'll be playing during Alpha. Their lore focus is being imperial, prideful, and just like culturally orientated. Mostly why I like them is their architecture type has a lot of like Roman influences, which I think looks really badass. And the other elf is the Pyre Elves. Now, their core descriptions are nature, balance, and fury. They have a lot of Native American influences, and their architecture is very just woodsy, almost like it's like a part of the woods. Moving on to the Orcs, there are the Renkai Orcs and the Vek. Now, the Renkai Orcs are focused around honor, power, and tranquility, and their architecture type is not listed on the wiki, but as you can see, I'm just getting very Japanese type vibes from the buildings. It talks a lot about the Renkai and their rage, so I'm sure we'll see some like interesting mixes with this race and certain classes later on. Next is the Vek Orcs. Now, their primary beliefs are listed as purpose, fate, and celestial. It says they're astrologers and have the architect types similar to like the Mayans or the Aztecs. It's been a little bit hinted that their racial abilities may have to do with navigation and being on the seas and so on. So I'm sure we'll see some cool stuff with that. Now, the last of the primary races are the Dwarves. There are the Tulnar Dwarves and the Nukua Dwarves. The Tulnar Dwarves are stoic, traditional, and focused around the forge. But big side note, your race will have nothing to do with your profession, so don't expect like a blacksmithing bonus as a dwarf. Their architecture has a very Nordic influence, and like all the other races during character creation, you'll get a lot of leeway to make them taller, shorter, or whatever you want to do. And last, the Nukua Dwarves are about family, freedom, and courage. Basically, if you've seen the movie Moana, then you've seen exactly what we're looking at. They're going to have like a very Hawaiian or Pacific Island type of architecture, so it should be really cool. Finally, we have our ninth, and in my opinion, the most interesting race, the Tulnar. Now, the Tulnar in lore stands for the Forgotten. It says they're the combination of breeding between all of the 8 above listed races over just thousands of years. Now, this is the only race that is capable of adjusting their like racial appearance, which means that you can make them more reptilian or more humanoid or more mammal. They can have scales, weird head shapes, snouts, all kinds of shit. Now, how those races combine to make giant lizard people is some Alabama shit, but who knows? Regardless, there's like a lot of lore and interesting aspects of the Tulnar, but for the sake of just condensing information with races, we'll cover that in another video. Anyways, that's all for the available races for Ashes of Creation. This is my first segment of a series in attempts to just consolidating as much information as possible and make learning Ashes much easier for my community, since they're primarily a League of Legends community, and also just for anyone new and feeling a little intimidated by the wiki or just the mass amount of Q&As. So expect a lot more of these coming. But out of curiosity, which race do you guys plan on playing? Are Tulnar's furries? You tell me down below in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching. And if you do want more Ashes of Creations content, make sure to like and subscribe down below. And thank you guys. I'll see you next time.